Wise had for you?
Defensively, it's been incredible. I mean, it's as good as anybody we've ever had behind the plate, and we've got some great catchers. And I mean, throwing people out, teams scared to run on us that are running type teams. Then you throw in the fact that he's calling probably from about mid-season on, he's probably calling 80% of the pitches. He looks over at us, especially in tight situations. We help put on picks, pitch outs, things of that sort. But he's got a good feel back there. He's the one sitting back there, realizing that the hitter's moving up in the box looking for Randall's changeup, or moving back, because they think Stanik's going to throw a fastball here, or up because they think he's going to throw a slider away. I mean, he gets that feel, and but when it gets tight and there's somebody in scoring position, or just that time of the game that one pitch can change a game, he's giving us a look and we're helping him out. And but he's been great. And offensively, we know he's a lot better player. He has been a clutch player for us. He's gotten some big hits. He's also hit into some tough luck, but he'll tell you, it hasn't been a great offensive year for him. I think he should be, a 275, 300 hitter. And he's one of those guys that we don't feel like he'll be back, because he's such a good catch and throw guy that there's a lot of scouts that like him. I don't think he has to worry about that. He'll have the option. If he did come back, I think that next year would be the year that he put it together offensively. I almost see him offensively in the same mold as a guy like Matt Vinson, that all of a sudden the light just comes on when you get a little bit older. And, get the rest of your game down, the defensive part, and then all of a sudden here comes the bat. It's just kind of the way it works. But he's had a great season for us.
I think somebody might have been Todd in preseason said that he used to be quieter.
Yeah.
When he was playing behind McCann, and now that he's taken over, especially this year, he's gotten a lot more vocal leadership.
Well, I think he's relaxed, and now his true personality's coming out. He's relaxed. He's comfortable. It's like anything else. Sometimes it takes years to get comfortable whenever you're in front of a lot of people, or in a big stage, or a lot of pressure, or whatever the case may be. Whatever bothers him, I think that it's not bothering him anymore.
You mentioned Vincent. I think probably about this time last year is when he had to become an everyday player.
Yep.
How much do you think that helped for this year, maybe?
I think it helped enormously. I mean, I was thinking about it driving in today, because I was going to talk to Morris about a couple of things. One of them, congrats again on graduating, but this was about the time he got hurt last year, and Morris is hurt right now a little bit. His shoulder's bothering him a lot. It's one reason he's not playing. It hurts to swing the bat. It's the left shoulder. He tells me it's not really hurting, but it is, because he wants to play. But yeah, this is about the time that Vincent was like, "Hey, you're the option, and you're the guy. Now you got to play defense." And we just kept winning with him out there. He got to start all the way through, in some very tense games and tough atmosphere, and got some big hits, and big hit in Omaha or two, and he made most of the plays. From what I can remember, I really can't remember him not making a play that looked like it was makeable. And I think that obviously the confidence is carried over. There's no one in the locker room that's a grade above him, so there's nobody to be, looking up to. And he took it upon himself to be the guy that some of the guys looked up to him, and I think he's done a great job.
I think earlier you said to Stan, when he was struggling a little bit by his standard, you said he was throwing too hard, trying to impress the scouts.
I didn't really say he's trying to impress the scouts. I've never used those words. But he overthrows. It's just his human. He's been doing it since we saw him in high school. He has such a good arm. He can be fluid, and his mechanics are correct, free and easy. The ball jumps out of his hand. Sometimes when you muscle up, your body's working harder, but you don't have the arm speed. And when he loosens up, the ball jumps out of his hand just as hard or harder, and he can control it and command it, because that's the key. Example, this past weekend, the first 4 or 5 innings, he kind of hyped up. Everything was up, couldn't control the fastball. Then he started to get a little bit tired. Body was, starting to get a little tired and fatigued, and all of a sudden he's still throwing 95 miles an hour, but he's starting to throw where he wants it. To me, and I said it the other day, the 6th and 7th innings were his best innings because he started commanding his fastball. Early in the game, he had to throw that slider a lot because the fastball, it just wasn't where it needed to be. Maybe that's why when we get towards the end of the season, he pitches better. Maybe he's starting to calm down his whole body. He's starting to maybe get a little bit fatigued in the legs and everything else, and he just goes out and he spots that fastball up, and then he's hard to hit, because when he's got 3 and 4 pitches going, you just have to see it and react, and you can't guess too much because they'll blow you away.
Assuming the rotation's the same this weekend, and you got the bye, I think for sure, where you don't play till Wednesday in the tournament. Have you thought about it? It will depend on who you're playing. I mean, the rotation.
You've been thinking about that for a while. We've been thinking about it too. But there's a lot of things involved here. I mean, I don't have to tell you all our secrets, but I always seem to, just because I do. Obviously, we want to win the series. Number one. If it's 1-1 going into Saturday, we're going to do what we got to do, even if it's clinched. If it was over and we'd won the series, then we would probably look at that, and then change it up a little bit. So, but obviously we'd like to host a regional. It's not the most important thing. We could win 3 games this weekend, or 2 or 1, and either way we might get 1. I don't know. We might not get 1 anyway. I don't know how much they play into the RPI. I don't know what happened with our RPI, except the teams that we played and that we've beaten have not had very good years. I can't hardly figure it out. I mean, you get so much more by winning on the road. We've won on the road, and they crush you when you get beat at home. And you can win 2 games at home and lose 1, and it's about a dead heat as far as the 2 teams, when they leave that weekend. So I think it needs to be readjusted again a little bit. I don't know how, but because I don't spend a lot of time dwelling on it, but it does bother me. But the RPI isn't real good. We've played a pretty good schedule when you think about San Diego States and New Mexico, and we played teams that are going to win their league. I could go on and on. We had a hiccup out in California, out in Arizona. Other than that, it's been okay. But we're going to do what we got to do to win games. We want to put ourselves in a position to host a regional, because we know that it would be really important to our fans to get the regional here. And for us personally, or as a team, we just want to get in regional. We feel like we can win here. We feel like we can win on the road. It'd be nice staying home. So we're not going to jeopardize that by throwing our bullpen. Although I could line up our bullpen on a Saturday game, and I think we could compete with anybody in the country and say, you give me 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, let's finish it and get out of here. And it could happen. And if one of our guys is a little bit tender on a short week, it could happen. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But right now, it's all the same, and unless something changes, obviously.
That's something you might do in the SEC tournament.
Hey, we have a bye, so we play. Hopefully we'll play in the first game on Wednesday. If we hold our end of it and stay ahead of South Carolina. I think if we tie with South Carolina, we'll have the tiebreaker since we beat them. And the first 2 days we'll do what we have to do, and then it just depends, because if you win 2 in a row, you get a day off. You get to Saturday, it's single elimination, no matter where you're at, 2-0 or 2-1, however you got there. But yeah, I wouldn't have a problem at all. I mean, if we were fortunate enough to get to the championship game and we'd used our 3 guys, that's probably what we would do. And I would be fine with that. And I think our guys would be excited to do that.
How much do you think, this is kind of out there, geography has to do with regional selections? I say it because most projections, there's not much in this.
No, you look at the state of Texas, it's an incredible year. Usually we're thinking, we're complaining they're going to get 3 regionals in that state, and now they might not get any. And, it looked like OU was a lock about 3 weeks ago. Now they're in 3rd or 4th place, and they have to go to K-State, who's been really good at home. I think if K-State wins 1 game, they win the Big 12. So, I think it could play into it. I think a couple years ago we should have had a regional and we didn't. So maybe we'll get a break this year. I don't know how to word that. But we still have to take care of our work, and that's playing against Auburn, who always scores a lot of runs in their ballpark. And they score a lot of runs. I mean, they might have 1 bad game. They usually pop 10 runs 1 game, and they just do a good job. They've got good players. I mean, they're in a great part of the country to recruit, and we'll have to pitch extremely well. And we need to keep swinging the bats like we did this past weekend, at least the last 2 days.
I guess Auburn went 2 out of 3 at Ole Miss, 2 out, or Ridge was Ole Miss 2 out of 3 out of Florida. Had a big comeback win where they scored 12 runs in 1 inning against Jackson State. Just what's your take on? They seem like they're playing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to give them credit. They did on the road at those two places, and I know the Jacksonville was at home, right? And but to win 2 out of 3 on the road at Ole Miss and do what they've done, it just shows they're talented. They can beat anybody any weekend. I think any team in this league can, but they're a notch above some of the teams. Example, Tennessee is very young, position player-wise. They're going to be really good in the future. I think Coach Serrano and his coach have done a good job. They get a little more arms in there, and they're going to be right in the middle of it. So, yeah, I mean, they're good. And I'm glad they've clinched a spot, you know, and now we both are going to go in there probably a little more relaxed, and we're just going to play baseball and try to improve our stock. I know that they're really scrambling to make sure they get into a regional. I think they're a regional type team. I mean, their RPI is better than ours, and you know we've got a few more wins, and we've won more in league by 6 or 7 games. But they play teams in that part of the country whose RPIs are higher, and they just keep playing each other, and that's how you do it.
I know this isn't really a time of year for reflection, but given that all the regionals are going to be televised this year, do you ever look back at the growth in the game over the last decade or so?
Oh yeah,
kind of go
all the time. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I can remember when I was at Nebraska thinking, you know, baseball's starting to get better. We had just built a new ballpark there. You know, you just could see that there were a lot of good coaches that maybe I kind of grew up with, and maybe even some good scouts out there that were becoming coaches, and baseball people were starting to get jobs, and they're starting to be more invested, and then you go to TV, and the popularity's definitely gone up. We're starting to get kids that might have been football, basketball players more are starting to think, hey, that's pretty neat. You know, they see it on TV, they go to a game, they go to a nice stadium, and they say, hey, I want to do this as a young kid. And they come to our camps at the ballpark. Hopefully in the future when they come to our camps in the winter and we have an indoor facility, they're going to think, hey, this is pretty nice. And I think it's just helped. I think more kids are wanting to play the sport of baseball in college. And now you've got professional draft where they've slotted them a little bit more. It doesn't mean they can't go out of slot. We've lost 10 kids in the last 2 years that were way overpaid. But I think we're going to start keeping some more players. We have to really watch the way we recruit now and not over-recruit too much, because we're going to keep guys that want a little too much money and they just don't want to go over that much. So it's just, yeah, I mean, think about it all the time. I mean, you look at, you can watch college baseball on TV about every night. Now, a lot of them are going to be replays, but there's a lot of live games on Tuesday, Wednesdays, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. You couldn't say that 3 years ago, 4 years ago. You can watch Texas play just about every night on a replay or live, and next year the SEC network, and we could go on and on. So I think puts more pressure on maybe coaches, puts a little pressure on the kids, and maybe even the administration to make sure they have a good baseball program.
Picciello has talked in the past about, just looking around at this atmosphere is one of the reasons he came here. How much of an advantage is that to you and recruiting kids all over the country?
Well, it's an advantage when you're recruiting kids that maybe aren't being recruited by SEC schools. So if we go out west and a kid gets online and looks at our stuff, they kind of go, wow, that's pretty cool. Then the battle is how far they want to go away from home. Just like Ferris got him late last year and could have stayed around home at some of those other schools, but he wanted to play in the SEC, and a lot of kids want to do that. When A&M got in the league, that put a little dent in our recruiting. Not because we can't beat A&M in recruiting, it's because now they're in Texas, and they're saying you want to play in the SEC, and it probably hurt the other schools down there as well. But that's an area that we recruit, Houston and East Texas, and that's where they're all over there. So, yeah, it helps in recruiting, being able to bring a kid to this atmosphere. If we can get them here, we got a shot, and I think you hear every sport say that. So it's been good.
A lot of years you got 17 SEC wins going to last weekend. You're fighting for the overall title.
I thought 20 would win it. I thought 20 might win it by a game or two, because I just thought everybody would beat up on each other. I mean, I didn't. Obviously, what Vandy's done is incredible. I don't. That's amazing. And LSU's had a great year, and they've had some good comebacks and won some games. But I mean, I thought if we had 17 going last weekend, we'd be in a position, if we won 2 out of 3 or sweep, maybe to get a piece of that anyway. And it just didn't happen.
Kind of a unique trip because you're going to be gone for a while. What will Saturday night to about Monday be like? What's the
Well, we're going to, after the game on Saturday, we'll take our time and head up to Hoover. We already know which hotel we're in, so we're going to go ahead and get in there a couple days early. Sunday will be pretty much an off day, let them relax. We'll find something to do. We'll probably lift weights, do something there, and then Monday we've secured a college field in I think Sanford to work out, and then the tournament starts on Tuesday, and Tuesday you used to be able to come in early and work out at the big ballpark, and now you can't do that. Which teams will give that up to get a couple more in. It's not a major issue. And then, we'll just probably get a practice in, hopefully sometime on Tuesday, and we will somewhere. And then it'll either be an hour practice at one of the high schools around there, or a little bit longer if we can get a college field, and then we'll just watch some games, let them enjoy it, get ready to play, either in the morning on Wednesday or the last game on Wednesday night. At least we know where we're at. That's a plus for us.
You just as soon finish your regular season at Alabama or Auburn with the tournament coming up?
Yeah, it's okay. I'm fine with it, because unless we were at home, but if we were out on the road somewhere else, that would make it difficult. Say we were at Florida, then we're going to fly from Florida to the tournament, we're going to fly home and then go out there. That would be. But I'd rather finish the season at home if we get things lined up and then go. But this is probably the second best way.
I know 9:30 is not a normal time to play, but it's probably preferable to maybe play 8 o'clock at night or whatever.
The good thing is, even though it's early, at least you know what time it is. You play the last game, you don't know what time you're going to play. So, we'll do whatever we can. We're going to try to make sure we're playing in that game. And if you win or you lose, you got the rest of the day to recover, get your mind right, and get ready for the next day.
Plus, it's just a drag to have to wait all day, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's like any time I'm on the road as a coach, I would rather play a day game. You get up, you're in a routine, you go. If you play a night game, you kind of have to plan it out a little bit and get into a routine. But I think any coach would tell you they could play at 12 noon on the road. They'd do it every day. And then you don't have to sit around all day in a hotel, because as you know, hotels they get a little bit old.
How about Brian Anderson's season?
It's been good. I think he's had a great season. You take away the throwing errors in the infield, he's fielded the ball extremely well with his glove. He's made some great plays. I think about some of the plays he made at Alabama, and I think about some of the throws he made at Alabama that were scary. And it was wet there the whole time, but, played great defense in the outfield. He's fielded the ball well. And, his season's been pretty consistent. Like Spoon was hot as can be. And he slowed down because of the grind in his first year through the league, and he struggled. And I hope that he's starting to pick it back up. But Brian's just been consistent all year. He's probably been our most consistent hitter, really, when you look at it.
You feel like he just needs to stay in the outfield?
It's hard to say. A lot of it depends on which recruits show up. Brian could play third for us next year. If we had a year to work with him, we might want to put him at second and put Ferris at third. There's other options. He's going to go out and play summer ball, and he's going to the Cape Cod League, and I'm pretty sure he's going to play infield, but they may be working him in the outfield, and he may play second base, he may play short. Brian may pitch for us next year. He can throw 95 miles an hour off the mound, but we didn't want to do that to him this year, and we had a little pitching, so we were okay without him. But next year, I want to see if I wouldn't want to hit off of him, because you might not know where it's going. But anyway, I think he's had a good year, and he's actually grown a little bit taller. Now we just want him to fill out, and I don't want to talk about next year now, but we're always thinking about next year. Who's gonna be where, and losing a lot of pitching, but we're gonna have this offense back. It's sometimes not good to get offense back. Sometimes offense needs to go. If it's not going good, but we got guys that we're excited that they're going to get better, and they've done well, and they'll bring some experience back next year.
Did you address Auburn's pitching? I got a couple of weekend guys right around 2 ERA.
They have good pitching as far as the starters, for sure. They had been going, I think, 3 lefties, and then I think last week they took one of the lefties out of the lineup and put in a right-hander. That was kind of what Kentucky did, because one was struggling. But I know the first one, he's 88 to 92. The second one's 88 to 90, and maybe 86, 88 with a little better break and stuff. With the other one, the right-hander, I haven't really tuned into it too much. I'm going to go look at it. Yeah, I mean, they have good pitching. What they've done is they've held teams down a little bit better the second half of the season, and then they've obviously continued to hit, and that's why they're winning. So hopefully we can do a good job. We've done pretty well against some good left-handers this year. We've struggled against a couple, so it'll be it's just another big challenge.
One more.
The fact that Anderson, his hitting's stayed consistent even with the throwing there, he didn't let it carry over. How impressive is that? That he's his mental toughness, whatever.
Yeah, I mean he's had his times in the dugout where he's really frustrated. We've had to tell him to calm down or stop it or whatever we've done because he's talking to himself or banging a bat into the bat rack. We don't like guys doing that because it doesn't help anything. And but I think he's grown up a lot in almost the 2 years we've had him, and I've seen him get better as the year has gone on. And I think the players around him have helped him to calm him down when he makes a throwing error, or like they do each other. And I think that the coaches have handled him pretty well. I mean, we have a lot of different personalities we have to deal with, and some are fiery, some just beat themselves up all the time, and some are just too laid back. We try to, we just have to deal with it. And Brian's kind of a quiet guy, but he takes it real personal, and you got to handle him a little differently than another guy. And I think the team knows what his makeup is and what his personality is, and they've handled it well, and I think he's handled it well when he's not done well, and that's why he's stayed consistent. It's a tough game.